I like Justin Rowe. I think he's a good guy, but I gotta put a reality check on his
I know you do.
Okay.
Okay.
Listen, 9-3 should be the goal, not the below minimum expectation for Michigan this year. Him saying that they're going to repeat, that they're going to get better possibly without Aiden Hutchinson and Hassan Haskins. I just don't get it. Were the Bulls better without Michael Jordan? We're getting ridiculous. So I've got their schedule pulled up. I see 5 games they can lose, Mark, okay? I'm not saying they are going to lose all these games, but I can see 5 games they could lose.
All right.
First is at Iowa.
Sure.
At Iowa is a tricky place to play.
Absolutely.
Second is Penn State.
Okay.
Third is Michigan State. Fourth is Nebraska. Nebraska, though, if they ever figure out how to win a football game, they'll be dangerous. And the fifth is at Ohio State.
Okay. The middle 3 games are at home, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, let's back it up to your initial statement. You said that you thought it was ridiculous that their goal is, well, we don't know what their goal is. Justin was just making his opinion that that they should be in the range of being just as good as last year. If anything, he was saying, hey, it's going to be difficult for them to get to 12-1. That's really tough to do. So I think he sounds like he's in the 10-2 range.
Yes, that's what I don't think. I think maybe 10-2, maybe 11-1 is possible. I don't see 11-1. I don't see 11-1 for Michigan. Well, I think 10-2 is the best case scenario.
Well, if I were a betting man, I would bet against 11-1, even with that horrible non-conference schedule. And Justin he laid it out there, and I have as well that, yeah, there is no incentive to play a big non-conference schedule. But anyway, that aside, we can discuss that at another time. Looking at the wins and losses, potentially, what is Michigan's ceiling? Well, to me, this may seem ridiculous. I'm not forecasting this, but 12-0 is the ceiling. There's nobody on the schedule they cannot beat.
Well, they can't beat Ohio State at Ohio State.
They can't. We know that.
When was they? Well, for the last 20 years, that has been a constant.
Well, sure. We're not talking about who played 20 years ago, though. We're talking about the 2022 Michigan team playing the Ohio State team of 2022 that lost, of course, to Michigan last year and also lost to Oregon at home. Oregon, not as good as Michigan, at least not last year.
Yes, but you're also forgetting that Michigan is losing so much value that I think they're just going to naturally take a step back, and we should just peg them a tier down because of how much production they're losing.
Well, you heard our conversation concerning that production. It's
yeah. Well,
It's a judgment call.
I don't buy the idea that there's right.
So we're going to see on NFL Draft Weekend, Aiden Hutchinson gets selected somewhere in the top 5 to 10 in the draft. And his running mate, David Ojabo, I believe, is a late first round, second round guy. So both defensive ends that put all the pressure on the quarterback are gone. Yes. And Daxton Hill, their number 1 safety, DB, All-American, he's going to be a first to second round guy. Gone. Hassan Haskins, the guy that carried the workload, the guy that basically beat Ohio State with the offensive line. He's gone. Yes, I understand the stars are gone from the team. You're right. You are right. The stars are gone, but you can't expect a program that recruits in the top 8 to 10 in the country just to fall apart. And I know you're not saying they're going to fall apart, but
I'm not saying they're not going to make a bowl game.
Well, no, but I still think that they're. Why can't Michigan go 10-2? And again, I think that their goal should be to win the Big Ten championship. Why should they be backing down from those expectations?
That you can have those expectations, but to say 9-3 is not just to dismiss a 9-3 as something. Well, that can't happen. 9-3 can't happen. Of course, it can happen. I would say most likely that can happen. Because outside of last year, they struggle against Wisconsin, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State every year. They struggled against them. Last year, they had one good year with a bunch of where everything lined up, the stars all lined up, and they got not lucky. They had skill, but it had to be perfect. And
okay,
I think a lot of that. Sorry.
When you say they struggle against Michigan State and Penn State, yeah, they've not dusted them every year. It's pretty much a 500 struggle. It's kind of 50-50 against them. The record against Michigan State and Penn State since Harbaugh's been there is close to 50-50. I know somebody's going to correct me in the chat and say they're 3-4, 4-3. I'm basically saying it's roughly 50-50 against those two schools. I think Harbaugh's 3-4 against Michigan State, and I think he's 4-3 against Penn State. So yeah, you're right, but those aren't automatic losses, and they're playing both of them at home. I was saying worst case scenario. They're both at home this year. Scenario.
I think 9-3 is most likely. Let's say Ohio State's a loss because it's greater than 90% chance. I'm going to say they're losing to Ohio State at home.
I would be in that range. Okay, I would give them a little bit better chance, but I'm with you.
Let's say they split Penn State, Michigan State. Okay.
Yep.
And they split Nebraska and at Iowa.
Okay.
That's 9-3.
I think they can do a little bit better than that, but I'll take that 9-3. So if you're a 9-3 football team, you're a top 15 team in the country. And if you play in the Big Ten, you are. And what is the issue with them having the aspirations and goals of winning a Big Ten championship?
They can have it's. I don't see it as like from their perspective as maybe as an aspiration. It feels like an expectation, as if they should win it. When I mean, it's an aspiration in the same way Wisconsin is going to win the Big Ten championship. I mean, can it happen? Yeah, I guess, but it's not great. Maybe 5%.
5%? Okay.
I mean, I give them about the same chance as Michigan State.
You're also looking at a conference where one team's pretty much won the conference almost every year for the last 17 years.
Well, I understand that, but if you want to win the conference, you got to beat the best team.
Yeah.
I mean, the SEC's got that. The Big 12's got that. I mean, it's hard to win a conference, Mark.
Yeah, if you're somebody else.
Not a cupcake. Exactly. And if you want it to be an aspiration, if you say, hey, in an ideal scenario, we might have a shot to win the Big Ten if everything works out, that's fine. But to assume it's going to be an expectation of, well, we should at least be in the game and we got a good shot to win. No, you don't got a good shot. You don't got a good shot to win at Michigan.
All right.
I'll even go as far as to say they're in the same tier as Wisconsin, Oregon. I'm trying to think of it. Kentucky as teams that can win. I mean, can they win? Make it to the conference title? Yeah. Can they win it? Probably not.
Well, you make a great point. I do not disagree with you based on where these programs stand right this second. Kentucky and Michigan, sure, I'll put them in the same category. And I'll put Oregon in there and whoever else you just named. You name somebody else. I have no issue with all those teams being placed on the same tier. Kentucky, obviously, the climb is monstrous because it's Georgia right in their face. And then even if they would get past Georgia, an SEC championship game, whereas Oregon last year, Kentucky
that's
was
why I
probably
changed my phrasing from
Kentucky was probably better
from winning to getting there.
Yeah, Kentucky was probably better than Oregon last year. I think they were, but Oregon plays in the Pac-12, so they were in the conference championship game. So yeah, taking that aside, I'm right there with you. I just think, and yes, Michigan can't get all full of themselves because they won one Big Ten championship and beat Ohio State once. Yeah,
right.
You need to do it over and over.
We got to also account for the turmoil that's probably in the program because of the Jim Harbaugh fiasco. That does not help this scenario. I don't inspire. This isn't a well-run machine we're talking about in Michigan. The seams were almost falling apart in the offseason at one point.
I can't wait for this Ohio State-Michigan game.
I can't wait for it.
There's going to be a lot of buildup for that one. Well, there always is, but you know what I mean, because of what happened last year. And I think even outside of Ohio State camp, it seems like most college football fans just think this is going to go back to what it's been.
Oh, yeah. I mean, can you blame them? Every indication has showed Ohio State is still currently the better team and the better run program than Michigan.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's better. They're a more talented team, and now they've got motivation to correct what happened last year. And we'll never know what kind of aberration that could have been. Those two teams could have played 10 times and Ohio State win the other 9. And I'm not saying that they would have, but when they played, that's what happened, and that's the only thing that counts.
Oh, yeah. Listen, it's a one-game series. Michigan was the best team out of that one game. But we still have to remember that's one game. There's always another game the next year. It's on the road. Something Michigan hasn't done since 2000. In fact, now, I don't want to say high and mighty, but to get big-headed about where you are because of one impressive win. I'll even go as far as to say maybe program-changing win. Is a little.
If they can follow it up, it is.
Opinion.
If they can follow it up, it is.
Right.
And to your point, even Alabama, take their biggest rival, Auburn. Auburn's been pretty marginal for the most part since they went to the BCS championship game in 2013, and they beat Alabama more often than Michigan beats Ohio State. So yeah, nobody can expect Ohio State's going to beat Michigan like 39 years in a row and never lose. So this is what happened last year. We'll see if this is a changing of the guard or if Ohio State just locks back into, boom, 3-touchdown beatdown, and we continue on. And that was, you can look at any rivalry. Shoot, Oregon State, it's a complete mismatch. Does Oregon State beat them once in a while? Yep, they do.
Yeah, they beat them like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, they did.
So, but I think the expectations versus reality of Michigan, it's getting to the point where it's almost Tennessee levels of ignorance, where they think they're up here when you're really kind of down here, if that makes sense.
You know what you're doing to Real MVP is you're carving out yourself a segment here to be clipped off for me to throw on the Michigan channel.
Well, if that's what they want, they can tear me apart and they can call me all sorts of names, trash talk, say I'm college football ignorant. You know what? That's fine. But you know what? They better be there when Michigan goes 9-3, loses to Ohio State 42-21 or something like that, gets humiliated, doesn't make a New Year's Six bowl game, plays in the Citrus Bowl against some nobody in the SEC like Arkansas or Texas A&M, Missouri, South Carolina, or Kentucky.
So John is asking, can we hear to Real MVP 24's prediction on who the 5 potential losses for UM are this year? The Real MVP went through that. So one more time.
At Iowa versus Penn State versus Michigan State versus Nebraska at Ohio State. Those are 5 games that Michigan could lose this season.
And, hey, I've argued with you a little bit here just for some healthy banter, but truth be known, somebody held a gun to my head today. Not that this is going to be my prediction. In the end, we will see in August. But if somebody held a gun to my head today and said, your life depends on it, what is Michigan's record going to be this year? I would say 9-3.
Well, this is why I love college football off season, because it's all subjective right now. Anything can happen. Everybody's undefeated.
Yeah.
But that's all I got for you, Mark.
Good
it was
stuff.
Good talking. It was good banter. Make sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. That way we're less than 100 from 34,000.
There we go. Thanks, man. Appreciate the call.
No,
have a good one.
No problem, Mark. 9-3, Michigan. 9-3.
All right. There it is. Michigan back down to Jim Harbaugh level. So Jim Harbaugh took over a 5-7 program, and he went 10-3, 10-3, 8-5, 10-3, 9-4, 2-4, 12-2. So 9-3 is pretty much it.